I'll start again. Good morning and welcome to a live broadcast. And we are on Facebook using YouTube to talk about something that is a secret. That is how to fight CPS and get back your children. Now, CPS is the branch of the social services called Child Protection um, Services. It may have other names, Department of Child Services, DCS. It has other names in other areas. But social service that deals with protecting our children and reunifying families. Now, before I start, I'm Bob Pace, your host, and this show is um, uh, produced by Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's a law firm in Southern California, and it has many talented lawyers. Mr. Davis, Vincent W. Davis, is a very good professional family law attorney that knows how to fight CPS, that has won cases getting back children. He's also sued CPS in a civil lawsuit and won cases that way. He's a trial attorney. He's very good at what he does. And he practices in Southern California, Northern California, all the 50 states. Um, he has a retention, but it varies on the complexity of the case and the location of the case and how long the case has been going on. Now, right now, he's offering a special 30-minute up to a 1 hour consultation to talk with him about strategies of how to get your kids back in fighting CPS. And if you like them, retain them. I did, but it took me a long time to find him, and I didn't do it till my case was halfway over. Yes, I was involved in child protection services of the social services, and so I went through quite a lot there. Um, Hi, Rebecca. You're in Southern California. Can he do cases to reverse on illegal adoption? Yes, he can. Yes, he can, Rebecca. He can there, and one of his attorneys could help you out there. Was that through a CPS matter, Rebecca? Was that through a CPS matter, Rebecca? We have a number on the. We have it set up that you can do comments. Okay, yeah. Well, um, there are three ways to interact with the show. Rebecca started off by texting a question, and she did quite well. She got her name, she got the state that she's talking about, and she has a question for her. You haven't seen your daughter in 8 years. Well, Rebecca, um, was your educational and medical rights turned over to the CPS? Do you still have any kind of rights with your daughter, or was she completely adopted? So, any of you out there listening that have a question or comment, please put your name and where you're from and what your question is, and I'll try to answer you. Okay? Um, she's fully adopted. So, let me start off with her first comment. So everybody sees that she, let me see, she said yes. I haven't seen my daughter. That is very terrible. Very, very terrible. And she's fully adopted, which is really, really tough. So it's closed. Well, that's something you need an attorney to help you with. And I'm not a legal, I'm not a lawyer, but I have 9 years experience fighting CPS, and I've talked to hundreds of people here on this live podcast all over the country. Now, um, I have Nikisha Barrett, and I'm currently in Indiana. Nikisha, what is your question? And while she's writing the question, Rebecca, I want you to call our office, 888-888-6582, and say you mentioned Bob Pace told you to do so and that you want to speak to Mr. Davis. He offers a 30-minute up to an hour free consultation to about the strategies and so forth. And Natisha, um, what is your allegations or what is your question regarding? Okay, I'm currently in recess for another 15 minutes at the trial for termination of my parental rights. Okay, Natisha, um, both you and Rebecca, if you want to talk live on the show, you can call in 888-888-6582. And I will put you live on the show and you can talk about your case. It sounds like Nikisha has about 50 minutes. She's at her trial in Indiana, so she's probably at a dependency court. And so um, if you call into my number, let me get the number back up there because here, let me see here. There's the number. You can call 626-698-0990. It goes to my office phone. I will answer it and put you on the show if you want to talk, either one of you. Okay? Um, well, Nakisha, I don't know anything about your case, so it's too hard to tell you what statements to use. Apparently, you do. Are you using a public defender? Here comes a call. Okay. Hello. Hi. Who's this? Who's this?
I'm Rebecca from Facebook. I was just messaging.
Okay. Yeah, Rebecca, I'm glad that you called in. Uh, Nakisha, I can only talk to one person at a time. She says that she's
Yeah, go ahead and talk to her. I know she's on a 15-minute
okay.
break.
I'll be back with you. I'll be back with you. Okay, Rebecca, Natisha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, how can we help you? You're live on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I am currently in the state of Indiana. I've got about 12 minutes before we resume. So their question or concern has been inconsistency with screening, which I completely understand. However, we've been in this 3 years. I have a mother of 7 children. I've gotten back I've gotten back 5 out of 7 of those children. This hearing today is in regards to my 6 and 8-year-old. And even CASA just testified that they do not, after my testimony and the history and totality of this case, support this termination. So my question is, outside of my own thoughts, are there any, suggestions and things I can communicate with the judge or just express to kind of, take away any concern for substance use outside of what I've already testified, something that may resonate with him? God is definitely on my side, and, my court defendant, my public defender is absolutely amazing.
Well, that is good. Stay with your public defender.
It's like a life or death hearing right
now.
Yeah,
he will have to help you on that. If you need more time to prepare something, you might want to ask your public defender to ask for more time or extend the hearing date. I know that does not sit very well because the courts are very congested and it's hard to get in there elsewise. But not knowing your case as well as your public defender does, it's hard for me to suggest. You said something about alleged substance abuse. Were you doing drugs? Is that why the 2 children were taken from you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I've just had some inconsistency with screenings in the last 6 weeks.
Okay. So, you've done a hiccup. What you're going to ask your attorney is you need to complete a plan that you don't want to lose these children. that you will abide by them either taking weekly drug tests or taking parenting classes with children and taking classes on substance abuse because it's illegal to have a minor of under
Yes,
18
sir.
years of age to be exposed to drugs, no matter if they're taken or not. Even having it in the home
Yes,
or
sir.
finding the stuff is really, really, really bad. And so you're kind of at the mercy of the court. Thank goodness you feel comfortable with your public defenders because most public defenders don't have time and their caseload is 20 some people or more, and they may not, they may try to settle for something less. Are you allowed to be in the courtroom when they talk about your case?
Yes, sir. I'm the only one allowed. It is actually the trial. Today is the trial. We have been
Oh,
in session since 8 a.m. and we are locked in until 4:30. They have, based off of my testimony and the testimony of the witnesses that have already gone, they have released 3 witnesses this afternoon. They
okay,
no longer need their testimony, and that was after Costa's testimony that they do not agree with this termination. They do not support it.
okay.
And in our state, Costa is the voice for the children.
Yeah, they don't have attorneys. There's no attorneys with the children.
That's what CASA is in my state.
Oh, okay, that's what they
There's
call
Carson
their
at Lightem and their attorneys. So they have
right.
testified. They were the last witness and testified they do not support
Do
the
they
termination.
want? Did they
Based
want
on,
to let you go? I mean, they don't want to keep you going. Is that what the case is? They don't want you as
pretty
a
much, you're
parent.
at a 3-year mark.
Yeah, I mean, do they not? They wanted
Yes.
they the CASA attorneys agree to terminate your children from you. Is that what they agreed to?
No, CASA just testified they do not support the termination as of today.
Oh, good, good, good. Well, you could talk it over briefly with your public defender attorney and say that we need to go to the mercy of court, that I messed up uh, with substance abuse, that I want to take any kind of a drug substance class. I want to be tested as often as they want me to be tested, and I want to clean myself up so I can take care of my children.
Yes, sir. So I actually have made arrangements to start those classes next week. I take 2 screens a week,
Right.
and I have already testified to everything you said. I didn't know if there was anything that anyone felt would resonate with the
Well,
judge. He is a fair judge and has been amazing.
yeah,
And I
well,
was
it
not
says that you
expecting
can
that.
ask for mercy of the court. You can ask for them to postpone it while you do this treatment and come back later to address it. They should be able to, if they agree with your drug testing, your classes, and they should give you time like 6 months to complete everything and then come back and address it. But the current orders will
Yes, sir.
stay in place. There's a form called a 388 that you'll need to submit with new
Yes,
evidence
sir.
that you've completed the classes and so forth. So you tell your attorney you'll have to follow Form 388. It's a petition to
Yes, sir.
introduce new evidence or there's a change in circumstances that would benefit you. That way they can throw out the old plan and make a new plan. But it's a 388 form.
Yes, sir. And I'm actually familiar with the 388 form. I follow you
Okay,
and Mr. Davis very closely,
good, good,
and I've spoken with him this week as well. So
good,
thank
good.
you so much.
You're doing everything humanly possible. I'm pretty impressed with you, and but that's all I can really do. I mean, your time is dwindling down, but you can ask the mercy of the court. You can show sincerity. Don't argue. Just be a listener and say your main thing is you want to have this termination hearing suspended till you complete your
Yes,
uh,
sir.
your program and be drug tested.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, good
Thank you
luck
so
with
much.
it.
I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
for everyone that prays, please pray for my family. It's
Yeah.
been a long time coming.
They will.
And God bless you and everyone that does this for families like mine.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll go back to the other person. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay. It looks like she's going into court, and she has a hard battle because she has to postpone the termination and get this program started, substance abuse, and do whatever they ask, drug testing, and Hopefully, they give her time and that she can reappear and file a 388 and get that petition in that there's a change circumstances and negotiate a new change. Okay, I had a person out there that called, and Rebecca Beckiness. If you want to call back in right now, please do so. I'll put this phone number back up again. Uh, Please call in to 626 698 0990. And that is Rebecca Beckiness. And she's from Southern California, and she wanted to talk. She did call me, but I can only handle one call at a time. So, Rebecca, if you hear me, please call in. Okay, we've had kind of unusual um, start off. I will point out that you can be a guest on the show at a date and a time that you would like by calling in 888-888-6582. That's my office number. And mention that Bob Pace told you and schedule a time and a date for that. So, um, CPS is a very difficult matter. When you're dealing with social workers, there's a lot of emotions. And in my case, and most of the cases I hear from people, is that social services is not transparent, and they'll lie and use deceitful measures to take your kids. Their whole goal that I found in my case was to make money off my kids. The longer they stay in, and the longer they're in foster care, group homes, shelters, wherever they put them, the more money they get. And their whole thing is they want there to be in there until they turn 18. They want them to be adopted. It's a money making, it's $1 billion business where my county social services, the CPS off there, and it's really discouraging because I went without an attorney, try to fight them, the top dog, and it was a waste of time. It goes in 1 year, goes out the other year. They're so corrupt and so bad, they definitely need to be addressed. And there are lawsuits being filed against them for doing things like that. So, Rebecca, if you could call back in at 626-698-0990, I'll let you talk about your case. Now, I've had many different cases on here and so forth, and I try to bring something interesting or new out there. I don't know how many of you are Native American children. The reason why I bring that up, there's something called ICWA. Now, that was an act that was introduced in 1979 that protects Native American Indian children. It's called the ICWA is the Indian Welfare um, Act, and it says that CPS must actively, if a child is Indian blood, must find the tribe, and if the child isn't registered, help them register and turn over the child to the tribe. Now, you probably wonder, why would you want to turn your child over to the tribe? Well, from my experience, what I was going through, it was a nightmare. And I thought I had a normal family. I only hiccup I had is that I lost my job at age 60, and I was trying to look for work. And losing the job was not my fault. It's nothing there. It's just that my job depended on contract work, and the state of California had run money, and they were trying to be creative, and they wrote me IOUs for all my contract work, and I couldn't get my job started, and so I had to let go. But a perfect storm was brewing, and unfortunately, my mom and dad were dying, and they wanted me to help them with their home and take all their belongings. So the second hiccup I had is that I took my parents' belongings in. And with that being said, I was history because, unfortunately to me, and this is what I want to talk about allegations. Allegations are made by people out there, whether they're professionals, family, or friends. My allegations were not true, but they were said by my wife's family, who purported things that were not true or ridiculously. and they were doing that for the sole purpose of taking away our children. They didn't like the idea of my wife of 30 years to marry. And we have older group of kids. They're doing fine, the three of them there, but we have a younger group of kids. And, you know, we raised our other kids fine, but all along, her family wanted to interfere with us. They would see our kids and try talking to staying with them. So they thought they'd be smart, knowing that I was broke, and they thought they'd be smart and try to undermine it. I did not find about this. You see, allegations are a nightmare because allegations are made, and social service workers believe they are true. They believe they're true. Child Protection Services says any allegations they must investigate by law. And there are bad parents. There are allegations that are true. There are allegations made by um, professionals that notice a child with burned fingers or excessive bruising. You know, there's physical and neglect that uh, child protection services look for. Those social workers look for neglect and abuse. And so when my family members, not my family, but my wife's family members, were calling with allegations, they're harassing me. You know, the first 5 years to finally, I was involved with CPS age at 2015 when I turned 65 years old. That's really great to look forward to. Is a deal with that. I also found out that government agencies like social services and the police department were not to be trusted. I just had a bad combination. That perfect storm was brewing, and my family home, my lifestyle, everything was invaded, and my children were stolen. My home I had to lose because I had to get an attorney. And let me emphasize, you know, it's like you as a have an open heart surgery. You can't do it yourself. You need a doctor, someone that's gone to medical school that served time for that. The social workers I was dealing with were young, inexperienced, had no experience. You know, a 22-year-old person with no experience is not going to know how to reunify a family. And they were more interested in the bonus they received, their Gucci purses, their eyelashes. Every time I see her, she says, "Oh, don't I look pretty with my new eyelashes? Oh, don't I like it?" It was like rubbing in my face that she was getting money for prolonging and keeping our children first in the shelter. Then I was able to put them with a family member, which is a smart thing. I wasn't able to get registered as a Lakota Sioux. I tried through at the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. That's where my great grandmother is from. She married my great grandfather, a Norwegian Viking from Norway, Bergen, Norway. And that's where my blonde hair and my looks came from my grandfather. But my Indian blood, my grandmother's, her cheekbones and so forth are in there. So I could not register because sadly, the Indians did not keep records. And so I tried to find my great great grandmother, but with only a her white man's name without her Indian name was even virtually impossible. All I know is that she was from Rosebud Reservation. I had a picture of her. She looked very much like a Lakota Sioux woman, and my grandfather was dressed as an Indian. So um, my great great grandfather and my great great grandmother had a child, which is my grandfather. Anyway, all you out there, if you have Indian blood, you may want to investigate. ICWA, it's the Indian Child Welfare Act, and 1979. Look it up. Talk to your attorney. It is another mechanism where the tribe will take care of your children and bring them back. Tribe controls their own lands. The U.S. government cannot go there and interfere. That's why they have casinos on land, and we can't have land on our land because it's against. We cannot do gambling. I think the only gambling is Las Vegas, if I'm mistaken. There's still gambling at different places in California, but it's on Indian lands, and I think there's some places back east, New Jersey, and so forth. Anyway, I don't know enough about the legal gambling. This isn't the show about it, but I'm trying to tell you, if you want to see your children, it may be better to work with your tribe. Now, those that aren't there, you're going to have to deal with this nightmare of CPS and the allegations. And they're going to try to investigate you. One important thing that I did not know that I learned the hard way is that when you have a home or an apartment or any dwelling you have where you're raising your family and your children, you're not required to let the social worker in, not the policeman in, because they have to have a court order, a warrant that says that they can inspect the home and the reasons for the inspection and the person they need to inspect. And it's got to be a legal documentation. If you allow them in your home, they're going to look at things and blow things up. With me, when they got in my home, they saw my parents' belongings, and right away they said, "You're neglecting the children. You have belongings that are too high boxes or the furniture stacked." Even though the house was clean, even though the children's bedroom was their own castle and it was cleaned, even though the master bedroom and so forth, but it didn't have it had a clutter effect, and that got me into trouble. And so by coming in the home, they saw that. They saw that my yard had my parents' belongings, the front porch did. Originally, I had put the stuff on my front apron in front of my garage, but I lived in a private uh, neighborhood with CCNRs. They're not allowed to do that. They said they'd be moved inside the yard. And I had a jungle of a yard. And at that time, I didn't have my job, so I couldn't afford my landscaper to help me trim it or thing like that. So it was a little overgrown. So, they see belongings hidden in the bushes and stuff, and I didn't have money to put in storage. I was trying to be uh, a nice son to my mom and dad and try to do their wishes. My family members, I had one sister that was in assisted living, another sister lived over in the islands. And with that being said, there's my only family members that were immediate there. I only had two sisters. And so I tried my best to deal with that, but it got me into trouble there. It got me into trouble there. Um, the situation only got worse. And so when they are coming to your home and they want in, you say no. And there's lots of reasons. You don't want them to see how you're doing things, especially if you have things that may be bad. Okay, we got a call coming in, so hopefully it's somebody there. Let me try to get on.
It's Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca, thank you so much for calling back in. I was concerned about it. Natisha, I had to let her go. She's in her trial right now, and she's lucky because in Indiana, they allow the parents in the trial courts. In my case, they don't allow parents. So you're in Southern California, so I'm familiar with Southern California. What were your allegations?
Um, my daughter was taken from me at 2 days old, straight from the hospital as being born, at birth. Um, I was in custody. I was incarcerated for a felony of transportation of a controlled substance.
Okay, so you must have had some mistakes made, some poor choices. You were pregnant, and sad. Once you're in custody, or once you are involved with them, they will take your child away. They will take. It's terrible. I hear about stories about parents or mothers that have a child, and at birth they're taken right away. You're lucky you had 2 days with your daughter, and really sad because
they wouldn't let me hold her.
right, they do that horrible thing of doing that.
Yeah.
And they probably told you, well, were you pregnant before your incarceration started?
Yeah. Yes, I was arrested at 8 months.
Right. Okay. So, before you got involved or incarcerated and you were alleged to transport substance, did that man who got you
Charges were actually dismissed.
Okay, we can work on that. I'm just trying to
Okay.
understand what you're. Okay, there was probably someone involved with your child. Was that the boyfriend that was running the drugs?
Uh, no, I was by myself. It was not even. It was not even a real. It
Relationship.
wasn't a case.
It was something that it happens with all of us, and I tell you, it's really hard because sex is a good
Yeah.
feeling, and I not here to say it's bad or wrong or whatever it is, but you were really smart not to do abortion because I think abortion should not be a form of birth control. So
No.
you
Yeah.
brought this child. This child's very lucky, and hopefully that child grows up and thanks you because my wife had two children out of rape, and they turned out one is in his 40s as a captain in the United States Air Force, working as a lawyer, and he's doing quite successful. He came back into our life when he was 20, so we've known him since age 20. The other child was on a date rape, and
So
she was
it
trying
was
to
not
raise him
rape.
as a
I
single parent.
wasn't raped. I think you misheard.
No, no. I mean, it's
Oh.
it's. I'm not trying to say you were or not, but
Oh.
whatever the reason is, you had a child and you gave it to birth, and before you're involved or incarcerated, they should not have taken the child from you because you did not know at that time. If you're told when you're incarcerated or told when you're brought in social service not to have more children, a lot of moms will have children during um, their CPS cases. That's a no-no, and they'll take away that child. So with a good attorney,
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard that.
they violated your right there because they should not have taken away your child because you were not told about that right. You were already pregnant before you were incarcerated, and your crime is you're accused of transporting uh, a controlled substance. And was that charge ever dismissed?
It was dismissed, and I was issued a hold harmless agreement from the sheriff's department.
What does mean a hold harmless agreement? You mean you couldn't sue them?
Right, to hold them and their um, officers uh, harmless. In other words,
Yeah, that's wrong because
after the case even closed, the
yeah,
doctor
because they must
decided.
have known you were pregnant at the time of your arrest. So
Yeah, I'll say this about me.
yeah, did you share that information with your now? When did CPS get involved? After you were cleared of your incarceration, or during the trial of your incarceration?
CPS was always involved, so I thought. I mean, that's when I got out of jail on an ankle monitor, um, just to go to these hearings at court. Um, that's who I would contact, was the social worker at CPS. Because I was not transported to court. I was not given a voice at all. So I got on a CBAC ankle monitor and was able to do everything I had to do out here.
Okay. But I mean, did when the sheriffs arrested you, did they report it to CPS that you're pregnant?
I'm not sure.
Well, here's how
I
CPS. See, that's what I'm trying to understand because if they did report you were pregnant, then they're at fault because um, um, they're trying to do their protect the child when you're in jail, but you had the child. You should have been given the opportunity, especially if you're cleared of this charge. You should be made whole again. And they tricked you. They used deception to say you're going to hold them harmless when they are uh, using deceptive measures. That's wrong what they did. And
right.
sometimes law enforcement want to get vindictive and do that. I love law enforcement. I'm against we need policemen. We need law and order. But what's happened is that our police have gone overboard and got too exaggerated. They're not paid very much and they're from all walks of life and they're not a perfect system. And I'm afraid
Yeah.
that they overstep their bounds.
It was not only this that failed me. If if it was where it started at the sheriff's department, it was also the system, the DCFS system. They placed her in a adoptive home with strangers, and they did not even give me a choice in who I wanted my child to be placed with.
They did not the planning meeting. You never had the planning meeting that you could put in with a family love member. I mean, like your sister or brother, your mom.
I was right. I was not given for her to have an option of where I wanted her placed. They put her in a stranger's home, people that were looking for a child to adopt, and they were actually one of my biggest barriers of bringing her home because they fought us in court.
See what they've done. They've illegally done something as a no-no. They're supposed to have the plan. After a child is taken into custody, within a week, they must have a planning meeting to determine where the child's going to go. Are they going to go with a family member? Are they going to go in a shelter? Are they going to go in a group home? Are they going to go into foster care? You're supposed to be given that opportunity to meet with them, the social workers, and to make plans for your child's well-being. So they violated you there. They didn't tell you ahead of time because you're already pregnant, so they couldn't tell you ahead of time. So now your child is put in a stranger that's barely 2 days old, and that child doesn't know you as a mother, which is even more and more sad. What do you want as a mother? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I want my daughter. I want her back, obviously.
Okay.
I want her back. I want to have contact with her.
Okay.
I want to know that she's okay.
Well, let me try to help you here because I know you're sincere in your heart. And, no one is born with a manual of how to raise children and how to take care of children, but they are born with love in their heart. And it sounds like that's what you have. And that's what's really important is you love that child. And so at this time, I'm going to say a little commercial here on the show that I want to talk about our attorney. This show is sponsored by Vincent W. Davis and Associates, and Mr. Davis is one of the lead attorneys in family law. There are other lawyers in the office who handle other legal matters, but he strictly is a lawyer, and he's the top one that I know of in the country that will get your children back and knows how to fight CPS. He's a professional lawyer. He has trial experience, and he has practiced law in Southern California, Northern California, and the 50 states. So he's able to go anywhere. Now, right now, he's offering a free 30-minute to 1 hour strategy session of how to get your children back, how to fight CPS. They're corrupt. They are not a fair agency. There's a lot of deception measures. But I want you to call in to 888-888-6582. Any of you that are listening, call in for that session. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you, that you want to schedule a time with Mr. Davis, and he will gladly talk with you. And if you like what he has to say, then you can talk about retaining him. And so, his fees are based primarily on the location, the complexity of the course, and how long you've been involved. And I know he'd be more than fair with you. It sounds to me that you've been violated by the sheriffs. You were coerced in signing that you hold them harmless, and your child was taken without the opportunity to be placed in a family member. So you got a lot of things going for you that should help you with your case. They're going to try to assign you a public defender. In my experience, the public defenders are worthless. I did speak to a lady, Natasha, and she said her public defender was good. So there is some exceptions to the rule. She's in Indiana, but he's supposed to be a good job. They're loaded with cases, 20 cases or more, and I went through the
children in the
yeah. There's standing room. They won't let you in the
And you
courtroom.
know that our social workers are not even licensed here.
No, I mean,
My
there's a lot.
social
Well,
worker
here's the
was
first of
licensed.
all, social workers are not inexperienced. They're given a job at 22 to decide about a family. And they're told that they'll get bonuses if they keep the children and get them adopted. And they want their Gucci Porsches. My social worker always bragged, oh, see my new eyelashes, see my new makeup. I got a BMW car. These are the bonuses that they're rewarding. And I tried to talk and fight. And I went to Top Dog in their green building, and this is in Orange County. And I tell you, they're very corrupt. They have no
They're
accountability.
monetizing off my suffering.
Yeah, they don't care. They have no feeling. They're cold and callous. And I never would ever think anybody would be that way. And that's from the top dog all the way down. So it's not individual ones. There's got to be a lot of
They're
changes
running a
made.
market for children. They're running a market to sell
Oh
children.
yeah, it's the only agency that is illegally can steal your child and make money off your child. It's sad. It's sad. So what you need to do is you need to talk to Mr. Davis and you need to um, schedule the
I will.
time
Thank you.
and see what he can do to help you. But I want you. Um, do you have a notebook or any kind of ledger you can write down notes and so forth? It's so
Yeah.
important when we get involved that we start taking notes right away. You need to know the time, the date that things happen. You need to know the people involved that are making it happen. And then you got to list any witnesses that will be on your side. And then you need to list what is happening and the outcome. You write this in this book or notebook. You'll need it later when you refer to them because it's too much to remember. I know it's easy and everything like that, but it's very important that you start your case with a notebook. And it can be a ledger, it can be any kind of thing you can keep track of what was
I
going
have
on.
emails and I have
Yes,
I
you
have my
need email
education.
stuff. Anytime you need records, the court clerk's office will give you every paper that's submitted in the trial or in the courts, and they'll give you copies of it. And if you
I've
can't
got all the
afford
court
it,
papers
if you
here.
can't afford it, they'll give you a copy at no charge, and you just have to write a declaration that you can't afford it. But it's very important you have those documents and you highlight those documents with a marker pen and bring them up, to the court. You're going to go through a long time. It's some people say it's 4 years, 3 years. One person's still at 12 years. Mine was 3 years, and I lost my daughter. My daughter was stolen by CPS. She was alienated from us as parents. They talk about alienation with parents, but CPS does alienation, and it's really really sad. It's against the law to alienate anybody. I mean, there's a law on that, and also, you know, um, it's something that you're going to you have to bite the bullet and fight it. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be nice. You can ask for other social workers. You can ask for other judges. You can ask for another attorney, but it takes you get a good
It
attorney.
doesn't take you experience. They
Right.
shame
Well,
you into silence.
here it is. If
And
you're going
that's
to do
why
an
it's
open
so
heart
bad.
surgery on yourself, you don't want to. You need a doctor. You can't use a layperson to do surgery on yourself. And to navigate through CPS is a nightmare. To know the laws are nightmares, like a Form 388 or all these other forms they have in the courtroom. They don't want to help you. They will not divulge it. The court isn't a friendly place. It's a nightmare of a place. The judges in cahoots with the attorneys. The social workers are palsy wowsy. They go out and have golf. They have meals together, and it's really sad that that is there. I've yet to meet any capable judge. And it's be election year. I highly recommend all you go out there and elect your judges. Get judges in there that know about family law. Get judges in there that have experience. Don't put in someone like my judge knew all about collision claims and how to fight auto accidents, but knew nothing about family reunification. And he could care less.
Yeah, my family's attorney was a tax. He was a tax attorney.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like you have to get the right person in there, and it's going to take a lot of interviewing. You should at least try to get three attorneys And if they're all public defenders, then interview 3 attorneys. But I recommend that you maybe your family or someone there can help you with the money to retain an attorney. And Mr. Davis is the best. And but it sounds like to me they've violated you. There's probably more violations that he'll find out, more of your civil rights being violated, and more of the procedures that CPS has done. They are so bad. They are so bad. You don't have to talk to CBS workers unless your attorney's present. You don't have to talk to them. They're going to try to say you do, but you don't. And I guess your arrestment was you were in the act or caught in the car with the guy that was running the
I was
substance.
alone in the car, but it was out of my reach. I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, they're going to try to get everybody,
But
and you being a young girl, the policemen are taking advantage of that. I don't know why they would.
first they tried making me be a informant and like offering to let me go, and I really had no idea anything about what was happening.
Yeah.
And they took me in.
Well, you were at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. And so where? Okay, so where are you at this matter? Where? I mean, have you had a trial date on the CPS matter?
She's been adopted. I
Okay.
haven't seen her in 8 years.
So, oh, I forgot that part. You're right. 8 years. And why did you suddenly now decide to fight the case?
I've actually, this whole time, I've been filing complaints with the foster ombudsman and climbing up the chain of DCFS and making my complaints to them. I really don't know who to contact. And every attorney I've spoken to says, let it go. It's already done. Leave her alone. You still disrupt your daughter's life. So
I know.
I don't think anyone cares to help.
Well, I think Mr. Davis will listen to what you have to say. I'm not a lawyer, and I cannot profess if your daughter was legally adopted and it's sealed and so forth. I know that. Well, I had a daughter in my first marriage that was taken away from me at age 3. Her last words is, "Daddy, don't go, Daddy, don't go." And I live it every day. She's 32 now, and she's made no effort to see me, but her mom said, "You'll never see her again." She was revengeful about it, and that was hard for me to swallow because every day I miss it. I hope at 18 you can reach out to her. It's very hard to do so, and there's a lot of people that can help you get together. But there's a lot of support groups out there. There's a lot of, they talk about reality shows and stuff like that. There's some people who are willing to take your case on. And all I would say is you don't want to stop. But you definitely have to ask the question, how do I get my daughter back if she's gone through the adoption process but illegally taken from me? And you got to tell them you were pregnant at the time you were arrested. You were unaware that having a child at CPS would automatically take them. They violated your civil rights and took your child 2 days later. That was wrong. They gave you no opportunity to have your child placed with a family member like your grandmother, your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt, whatever. There was never given that opportunity. So those are all bad things. And I would think that a good attorney would be able to fight that. A lot of the attorneys know it's an uphill battle to fight CPS. There's not very many attorneys that have fought CPS and won, but Vincent Davis has. He has fought civil rights violations and beaten CPS. And they are corrupt, and they take advantage of people's emotions. You sound like a really sweet person.
My child social worker called me a slut on the court informational report because I didn't know who the dad was, or I didn't know what name to give her. So I gave her a list of 4 people, and she called me a slut in the information report. They're so disrespectful. They are so bad.
Yeah, I know. Well, first of all, the guy that got you, The guy that got you pregnant should have owed up to it. He should also have been a responsible adult. Was this an older guy or younger guy?
I have no idea what that.
Okay, okay, all right,
I don't know.
all right.
I've
Well,
had it before, people. I think it could have been one person, and yeah, he should have stood up and participated in all this, but
yeah,
I chose not to.
yeah.
And
This has probably affected your relationships with guys now. It's probably messed you
oh
up,
yeah,
and you
it's
have
messed
no
up my
idea.
entire life.
Yeah, I know that because did you have parents when you were raised? Do you have parents?
Yeah,
Okay, did they
yeah.
teach you anything about boys or relationships?
Um,
Or did you have
yeah,
to
of
find
course.
out the hard way? You had to find out the hard way.
I learned the hard way, I guess. That's how my parents raised me.
Okay.
Figure it, I guess you live it hard.
All right. Okay.
But no, I, I'm not sure. All
Are
I know
you
is that this has
are
affected
you
my.
working right now?
Am I working?
Yeah.
I'm a cosmetologist, licensed cosmo.
Right. And you have a job, and I imagine you have a home, right?
But I have my own apartment. Yeah.
See, you are contributing to society. You're not one of the homeless people or one of the people that like to live on the streets. You have an apartment, you have a job, you have income, and you could take care of your child. So you have lots of
Yeah.
things working for you because these are the questions they're going to want to know. Your choice of relationships, maybe you didn't do good judgment, but I think you've learned and you're probably a better choice of your relationships. And
Yeah.
hopefully,
Doesn't mean I can't take care of my daughter. It didn't mean that at
well, they're going
all.
to try to.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, they say
Yeah.
right now that parents that don't have a home, that don't have a job, can't take care of their kids. So I was just trying to understand what the importance of having a job and a home and the skills to take care of the kids there. Um,
Yeah.
so
I,
have you tried to reach
I
out?
feel that it's.
Have you tried to reach out anything that that people would help out? Um, there are a lot of shelters. There's a lot of phones you can call for advice on
Oh,
um, women who lost their children or like to get their children back. Have you tried? Is it? I mean, how do you go looking for an attorney? How do you do it?
I do a Google search
Yeah.
usually.
Okay.
I found a lot of comfort because I know that there's a lot of pushback on the whole fighting aspect of things. It's kind of like accept it, just swallow that and live with it. And I even though I can't internally, and I do shut my mouth and continue with life, I found a lot of comfort in doing looking at Reddit posts on the adoption form, or not form, but title. If you type in adoption, there's a lot of different aspects of adoption and foster youth and adoptees, how they their their experiences and their issues.
Yeah.
So it really helps to connect with people and see how it feels from that angle.
Right.
And receiving like information and comments on a post is it's kind of like a band-aid. It's comforting.
Okay.
It's kind of like, okay, if my daughter was speaking to me right now
Right.
as an adoptee commenting,
One thing
it's
that's going
kind
to be
of like
hard
that.
is if these were, I don't know if these foster carers were good parents or bad parents, but they have bonded with your child for 8 years. It's going to be hard for them to let her go. Now, maybe they may be willing to you to have a relationship with your daughter that you could visit
No,
her
they're
from
not.
time to time.
No, they don't. It's a closed adoption.
Yeah, so when it's a closed adoption, it's really hard because, well, as I say, our son came back to see his mother at age 20. So there's always hope that the child would want to know its biological mother and father and look you up. And it's a
Yeah.
heartworking thing when it does happen. So there is hope. I can't, I mean, I have a daughter that was taken from me at age 3, and She made no effort, even though I sent out unanswered email stuff. She's in her 30s, and she's made no expression to see me. And she was brainwashed to think her dad was bad, and my first wife wanted revenge, and she thought she knew how much the daughter loved me and how much I love my daughter. And there isn't a moment in time I do not pray to her or think about her. I tried to see her up and through um, high school, so I leave notes and stuff, but they wouldn't let me even get tickets to her graduation. And then I know she went to my college, but it's really hard because I didn't want to be considered stalking somebody. So, and plus I got married and I have other kids, so it isn't I don't forget them, but it's very hard. I know what you're going through. I still cry and still hurt for my firstborn. She was precious to me, and it's just so hard. I think you know with CPS, people have hiccups, and they do need to be reunited with their family. But CPS isn't what it's supposed to be. At least in my area, and the cases over 100 some cases in the different states, it hasn't turned so. There are heart wrenching worries, just like the girl, Nakisha Barrett. She's in Indiana and she's trying to get her child back. And she calls at the last minute. Is there anything I can do for her? And I tried my best to tell her what she needs to do and how she can get her child back. There's no guarantee, but all I have is my wisdom and common sense and my experiences to help other people um, keep their children, get back their children, and also I like our children protected. There are cases where parents do abuse children, and so um, that being said, um, one thing I like to see them do is that when allegations are made, that they must be made in writing. They must sign their name. It doesn't have to be disclosed who it is, but a lot of people will not say things. It's easy on the phone to hide behind a phone and say things are not true. They're very vindictive people out there. And on top of that, we need accountability. It shouldn't be about money. It should be about the family and how to get the family back together and what things they need to do as a family. You know, um, it should be there. And social workers should be experienced and have at least 10 years of mentoring with a social worker who's been in the system for a long time so they're better prepared. I just can't believe that a person can be a social worker fresh out of school and decide the life and death of a family with kids. And that's how
The
my
thing is, they don't have to be licensed in California.
yeah, I know that. That's even more scary. That's,
CPS, behavioral sciences registries, they don't need to be licensed
I know.
social workers.
That's another thing we need to change.
Anything.
We have to change that. It's like a doctor, he has to be licensed. A doctor has to go to medical school. Then he has to do internship.
It's like medical malpractice. It's for having these people do things that they are not
Right.
licensed.
Well,
Or
they can be sued. They can be sued, but it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. And they have mucho bucks. Again, it's a business of child stealing that they've made it legal. And it's $1 billion. It isn't small chump change. They get so much money from the federal government and so much money from the state government. Our social service is so taxed because right now we're opening up the our country is open immigration, so we got lots of issues, but that's a whole different matter. Um, Mary Sue, I'm going to have to end the show because we're only an hour long, but it was really a pleasure talking to you. I hope you call back or schedule a time that you can be on the show again. 888-888-6582. Mention my name, Bob Pace. Also, want to remind everybody to get an attorney. It's very important. And right now, our attorney, Vincent W. Davis, experienced law attorney uh, with trial experience, and is offering a 30-minute to 1 hour consultation. And please, Mary Sue, call in and it's at 888-888-6582. So I want to thank you again for sharing what you have to, Mary Sue. I hope you find much happiness. I think all of you should find much happiness in the new year, and good luck and God bless. This is Bob Pace signing off.